Welcome to Leadership, the Secret Sauce, the podcast where we talk to extraordinary coaches and leaders to dive into the realms of leadership and coaching. We're your hosts, Dave Lipsky and Matt Dodson. So let's jump in with another guest and find out their answer to the question, what is your secret sauce? All right, welcome. Before we begin, a quick shout out to our season sponsor, Character Matters Coaching and Consulting, where they believe that your character is the compass guiding you through life's journey. Whether you're facing personal or professional challenges, they are dedicated to helping you discover and strengthen the core values that define you. Dave, what is this episode here?
Our favorite sister of the podcast is Allie. And Allie always asks us really good, deep questions to uncover what are some of the things that we noticed, we learned, that rose to the surface after a season of podcasts. So I'm excited to have Allie ask us those questions.
Excellent.
Hey guys, it's great to be back with you. This is so fun for me. I'm honored to be asked to help again. And you guys, congratulations on a third season. That's just fantastic. You are fully established in the podcast world.
Thanks.
Way to go. Congrats, Dave. Congrats, Matt.
Thanks.
I think we wouldn't be here if it was not for you, Allie. So thank you for all of your contributions. Not always in front of the scenes, but it's always behind the scenes.
Well, it's just a day at a time thing, isn't it, guys?
So I'm going to ask, what's your energy level, Allie?
My energy level today, while I drink my my fake coffee, this is herbal tea. Virginia Tech, is our son Jake. Go Hokies. My energy level is about a 7.5. Could be better, but I did take a walk this morning. That made me feel good. What about you guys? What's your energy level at and your focus level?
You know what? I think you have me. I'm at a 7. You got the half on me today. Just about, a lot going on in the world and life. But it rose from the time that we got on the call. You both made me smile. So it was at a 5 when we started a couple minutes ago. So
wow, Dave.
Quickly up to a 7.
I'm not sure I've ever heard you in 3 seasons say you were at a 5. I'm really glad you're at a 7. Maybe by the end you'll be at a 8.5.
It's a goal.
Okay.
Stretch goal. Yeah, I would say 7.5. I think that's probably pretty good. It's a really good long week. I still have some work left to do today. It's where I'm at in the business, it takes a lot of stamina to carry through all the way to the end of Friday afternoon.
Hey, I have an unplanned question for you guys related to energy and focus. So what do you tell yourself? What do you do in practice when you're needing to focus, but your energy level is at a 7 instead of a 9? Practical stuff.
I got one.
Matt,
go ahead, Dave.
No, you go first.
Chewing gum.
Ooh, that's really good. Matt, you know what? That's really good.
Yeah, it's chewing gum. Cup of coffee, chewing gum.
Yeah.
And I'm there. I'm ready to knock out the work.
I gotta try that. As long as it cooperates with any fillings. For me, I got this feedback once. I was doing some global travel back and forth to Australia and multiple trips in 1 month. And I was just I think I'm not going to make it. And then the senior consultant said to me, it was like a Marine drill sergeant, listen, private, suck it up and get out there and fake it. And I tried it. Right. I heard his voice when I did the next session. It actually kind of worked. So that's the voice in my head. When you see me, low energy, let's go, private. Get up there.
Dave, they used to say the same thing in aerobics. They'd say, fake it till you make it.
Oh my God. You had the senior consultant teaching your, I could see
class.
Him. Yeah. I could see him in, that outfit. Absolutely.
Jazzercise. Big time.
All right, guys, are you ready to jump in now that we're clear on our low energy this morning, but perhaps high focus, even if it's fake? Guys, Question number one is to try and differentiate this season 3, from any other seasons. My question is, what is a concept that was presented this time by one of the guests that you had that was truly unique, that stands out to you in a different way? And like, how did that cause you to think even further about coaching?
I'm, it's because you held up the Virginia Tech mug, and I hope I'm not taking Matt's answer, but Jennifer Riley on clearing out the brush, like the idea of you need to like clear things out to make space to do what you need to do and move forward. And there's a little bit of a theme, like as I thought about like the season, there's a little bit more about like a coach's journey, like what you need to do yourself to be valuable for others. And in coaching, we say you don't need to be a rocket scientist to coach a rocket scientist, right? But the more I talk to coaches, the more we talk to coaches, I do believe you need to do the coaching work. You need to be coached. You need to move from doing to being. And I think that's a significant journey that not all practices coaching, employed coaches being paid, have actually made.
That's a really good insight, Dave. For me, I think it was early on, even episode 1 with Ed Piccolino, where he talked about the higher you go in the organization, the more that those leaders pull or demand the coach tell them the things that the rest of their people won't tell them. And he said that that's what happens in practice. Now we can try to make sure that we do the ICF coaching competencies, but that is not what happens in an organization with a leader. They need you as a coach to tell them things that they are not hearing. And I think I saw that with Jeff Wolf as well. Similar types of things. Each of the coaches that we had on certainly had a different, maybe thought of something a little bit differently, or described their own coaching journey a little bit different. But this season was unique in the terms of we had a lot more coaches from the UK that were in and around London. I think Joe Wright is in the Liverpool, Manchester area, that really brought an added depth to our interviews that was far more introspective than maybe, I wouldn't say the other seasons weren't introspective, but the way they got there was through personal introspection.
So I have a follow-up question, Matt, to your insight about being the one to say the hard thing. What if there's a new coach that's listening, that's been listening this season, and they're not quite there the way you seasoned coaches are? What advice would you give to that newer coach about how to say the hard thing that no one else can say?
Well,
and Dave could answer also.
Yeah, this is when it becomes so apparent that you're sitting in that coaching session with that person and you're like, I have to say this. But if I say it, it's either going to sting or it's going to come out wrong, that you still say it.
Okay.
And just let the chips fall where they may.
So you take the risk.
That's what you're being paid to do.
Yeah, that's so good. As when Matt talks, my answers often shift and change. That's why I secretly like Matt to go first, because then my answer gets better. For me, it's interesting. Like Mark Veary, like kept asking this question of like, if things were in place for you, right? So his recovery approach is really powerful, and the idea of like an imagined future, like playing with, I'm stuck, and recovery is probably one of the most challenging areas to get people unstuck. And
Yeah.
he kept like pushing the question out to, okay, if things were in place, if the people were in place, if the conditions were, and I'm changing some of the language, and it just reminds me that we don't have to come up with these really smart, complex questions as coaches. We just need to move people out of their heads. And I think that's what stuck is for me.
Okay, good. Well, I'm going to move on to a second area that that was clear this season. There were special episodes and guests who focused on the coaching culture. And so, what new insights, what important insights do you have about this topic after this season on coaching culture? Matt, do you want to go first this time, or is it Dave's turn?
It's Dave's turn.
Okay.
Yeah,
Dave, it's your turn.
I'm good. I'm good. Matt and I actually have, it seems like weekly, Matt and I are having a couple conversations around, this is really an interesting concept, right? Because like what we originally thought it was in terms of, oh, you measure a culture, and we created an intervention and we tested it out in organizations in real practice. And then the more and more we talk to people, the more it's less clear that there was an easy A to B solution. So we recognize that we have to work it, right? We need to come up with something unique, a different way to address it. And even in the people we talk to of how they're addressing it in different ways. And then we try to name it afterwards, and we're naming it different approaches than a culture change, which is just interesting, right? Skill level issues and training for managers. And so for me, I'm kind of in a place where I go to a visual when I get stuck, right? And I'll describe the visual, but it still needs work. The visual is, I am an individual. I can coach somebody else within that space of me coaching somebody. There's skills that I have, there's things that I do, and there's a culture that I create, right? How much safety I create, what's allowed to be spoken, what's not allowed. And that could be in either a manager coaching relationship. It could be in a professional coach being hired, right? And then the circle around that is, it becomes more complex. You have a team of individuals where peers could be coaching peers. A team leader could be coaching them. And then as a professional coach, you could be coaching the team leader and the team, right? And there's a skills also and cultural component, safety, that occurs or doesn't occur to like some extent. And then the third piece is actually what we started out thinking we were coming after, which is, what's the coaching culture in an organization, right? And what I think is a lot of that is almost around like the right currently, and not necessarily correctly, is being looked at as engagement or satisfaction survey for an organization. I think at that level, we need to bring in those skills and the culture and the safety at an organizational level. And I think that might be what differentiates it.
Yeah. So I will bring back around this whole concept of, so we had an interview with, I think Linda Dawson and I believe Amy, for like, what is a coaching culture? That was sort of a great moment because it allowed me to just to talk to an actual organization where someone had said, hey, look, this is. But in the previous season 2, we talked to Brian Underhill, and I actually went back to Brian and said, hey, what do you think of this idea? Like, what has happened? Of course, this season, Joe Wright, she wrote a book on 7 steps to a coaching culture, which I recommend as a great change management. And then, of course, we've had other conversations with other people of describing what this is. And Brian said to me in a conversation that wasn't in our podcast that he said there are people that don't want to call it coaching culture, but want to call it the development culture. And So kind of to add on to what Dave was describing, it's not always seen as a coaching culture, but it shows up when supervisors begin to think like a coach, which is the name of Jude Sclater's book, Think Like a Coach. It is to be able to just think like one and draw that person out and create that, that environment where they feel comfortable to be asked a question and then to be able to answer it without any worry, like I don't have the right answer. And that is fundamentally shifting on the inside for leaders, because it's almost like that. As a coach, you're just holding this place for this conversation and allowing them to change right before you, like to ask really fundamental questions before you that they're sorting out. That's really unique. So to me, there are other people that are coaches that, whether intentionally, unintentionally, or whether they know it or not, that's what they're doing and having this conversation with people. And then how do you do that on a bigger scale? That's probably a little bit harder. So it's, anyway, I think there's a lot more to talk about with organizations that have that. And I think for Dave and I, the question is how do we get into that conversation with the right people, and who are those right people to have that conversation with?
It's interesting. I want to build. Can I build on what you said?
Absolutely.
So Matt always makes me think in a deeper and different way. And it's interesting when you said, people said, well, maybe that's a development culture. And I think of like what's subordinate to what's on top. And I actually think maybe the coaching piece is the top. Like it's being human, right? It's not just skills, right? Development skills, but it's like, how do you treat other people? Right? It's being versus just doing. And you can have a development culture that is not necessarily, includes being, right? So I think there's some deeper levels that we can come at. And to your last question of like, we need to talk to the right people. We do. And I think it's not just like the answer is not out there. And we do this with coaching all the time. The answer is here. And I think we need to bring people into a richer conversation. But I don't think the answer exists the way we're thinking out there, unless we're missing something.
Agreed.
But I think the listeners and I are all super glad that you two are part of the discussion and part of the team of people that are sorting this out, because I hear you say that the definition is changing, or perhaps means different things to different people. And then the practice of it is also something that is still, I don't know, needing to be defined, or maybe
early.
It's early in the definition, or it differs in different circles, something like that.
Yeah. And I do. That's really insightful, Allie, because like coaching itself is right. The success is defined through the coachee, not just the coach, right? So I think the success is defined through who we're working through the exercise, as opposed to having an answer to something.
Yeah,
that's right.
And I think this season was where we, like the interview with Oslam. She has been doing digital coaching for a long time, and I know Valence, Better Up, Coach Hub are doing a lot more AI coaching. And I just saw recently that people, I think it was Valence, would describe it as getting even better, sort of taking steps ahead in its ability to answer questions or to be a good coach. So I think that's the other piece that comes as part of it is your AI approach your coaching culture is going to be affected by how you think about AI, because Copilot is just not meant for a single answer. It's meant to maintain a conversation. And that really is, in essence, a coaching conversation, because it gets better the more you describe, or the more you ask it better questions, or the more that you, so it'll interact. And that's a coaching conversation. It's not just a one way. It's not a linear, I'm going to ask you this question, I'm going to get this result. I'm going to get the result, and then I'm going to ask a further question, or I'm going to modify what you just gave me, or ask for something else. I think that impact on coaching is, it will change the coaching landscape in a very short period of time.
Yeah, it is. We're in an interesting place with technology and coaching, right? And it's just, I absolutely agree. Like the co-pilot, the word co-pilot is a really good word. I like guide on your side. And I think the concept for me, and when Aslam spoke and others we've talked to and experiences, like coaches need to adopt the technologies and utilize them to become better coaches. And the position of resisting them or just comparing human to technology is not, I don't think is a valuable conversation, or as valuable as how can coaches become better coaches using these tools.
Dave, Matt, before we get to our last serious question, I wanted to keep you all on your toes and ask you an unplanned fun question, because one of the reasons people love this podcast and love you guys is because you keep it real, and you are great coaches for lots of reasons, but one of them is you share what's going on in your lives. You share things that are specific and unique to you guys, your personalities, your interests. And AI is not going to be able to help us with this next question. Okay, the next question is, what is something on your desk or behind your desk that you want the listeners to know about, that's something maybe newly acquired or fun, something almost show and tell? And Dave, I'm going to start with you, and I'm hoping if you don't pick this item, you'll at least turn around and show us about the sparkly pink pom-pom on your second shelf.
Oh, I can absolutely pick the sprinkly pom-pom, but I'll do it with like another thing. All right, so I'll do
Oh, purple. Sorry, purple.
It's, you know what? It could be pink or purple, but it is the NYU pom poms they gave out. So they gave these out at the graduation, and
nice.
it was. I appreciate you asking this question, because there were like 1,200 people that walked across the stage just for this graduation, and I got to sit in Radio City Music Hall looking out at the people doing it, and the uniqueness of how each person walks across the stage, and how they dress, and how they decorate their hat, and everything. It just gives me so much hope for the future. Like these incredible individuals. And then the other thing I grabbed.
Wait, Dave, before you go on, who was walking across the stage that you were waving your pom-pom at?
Yeah, these were 1,200 graduate students at the School of Professional Studies.
Great.
Everything from real estate to coaches to HR professionals, like real diverse set of functions, a real diverse set of people. Okay. And it really, like, it is like in these challenging, times we have always globally, things are never easy. Seeing the world walk across the stage and move education forward.
Yeah.
I like, all right, for me, that's a clear, the more we learn together, right? And this is going to sound corny, the more we can love together, and we can get along, and we can move things forward, right? And I think the greatest advancements in science have been made for cooperation between people, and that's what gives me hope.
It's a win.
Thank you. And now that I took up that much time, it's just, this picture is just from I did a team coaching thing in New York City with some team coaches, and they took this picture and sent it back to me. It was just a New York City ICF event, and it was all on team coaching, and people. One woman was from the Netherlands. People were from different one was from Egypt. People from different places, and it just reminded me that there's so much to learn from from other people and other people around the world.
Yeah, that's awesome. Way to go. Okay, Matt, what do you have to show us?
All right. Well, this is a shameless plug for Radical Candor. I have some other things, but this changed my perspective on ensuring that so I'll just make a confession around Radical Candor. If someone that worked for me was surprised by, end of year performance feedback, and I know this it happened not too long ago, I did a poor job of in not ensuring that they heard the feedback. Like, I may have said the feedback, but for them to hear it is different. And so I'm guilty of that. And
now, hold the book up one more time, and in case people didn't catch it, tell us the
Kim
author.
Scott, Radical Candor.
Okay.
Great.
Easy to find.
Yeah, it's
on Amazon.
I think that is like one of the things that I took from it. The biggest thing was that feedback is heard at the listener's ear. It should be given that's how I'm going to evaluate whether it was effective or not. So, that goes for parenting. I think if I'm providing feedback to my daughter or son and I think they're hearing it, but they're really not, or I think I'm providing it and thinking, well, I'm done with my thing. And then they're shocked that there's a consequence or whatever it happens to be, then I didn't really do a good job of providing that. I didn't really I just said it because, anyway, I just did a lunch and learn for a team on Radical Candor. I love it. If there is anybody who's listening would like a lunch and learn, it's 90-minute discussion. It's very interactive. Kim Scott is very generous with her resources. And I think there's a lot to be learned from that. So that's on my desk.
Fantastic. I have one item. I have one item that's right behind us. It's this beautiful garland. It's hand painted. I don't think you can see it super well, but it's different types of plants. And Matt and our daughter the three of us just went to London a couple weeks ago, had a wonderful time. And one of my favorite places to shop for all my UK friends is at the gift shop at the British Library. They have a fantastic shop. The British Library has, many treasures of ancient texts. And so we go look at those, and then we go to the gift shop. This is my second or third time going there. So I picked up this garland. It's about 6 or 7 feet and just hangs on our wall in our kitchen. So
I love it. Can I ask you a question, Allie?
Yeah.
So I always traveling with my kids has always been an eye-opening experience for me. So watching your daughter experience all these new things, what stands out for you?
Well, specific to this trip, she was obsessed with the tube. She was studying the map. She was trying to figure out, all the different directions. She would get us onto different platforms. She was just to keep it positive, she was a champion with transportation, which was fun to see. And there you go. There's my answer.
That's cool.
Guys, I'm wondering if you have one last reflection for everybody before we wrap up about season 3. Let's give our listeners something that we haven't mentioned so far. Anything come to mind?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, Matt, you can go first.
I'm super eager. Okay. Okay. So at one point in time, we interviewed this guy named Nick Dewar. And he just left his company and was just starting out on his own. And his perseverance as a coach was really inspiring.
I bet.
Because a year ago, when we interviewed Aaron and Shauna Waters and Aaron Ito for Fractional Insights, they were just starting out as well. And that charisma or that energy around starting out is really inspiring, because you know that there will be peaks and valleys that they're going to go through. But when I heard Nick, I was like, man, this guy has done so many things. This is just one, like, he's a seasoned starter. And I just knew. So, yeah. And then I think the other one was, so we have been able to partner with Helen Dan. She was like on episode 2, the around self-development. And, she described this, the impact of you kind of getting something out of coaching and maybe really looking at that. Like, hey, are you being a coach because you want to save people? That candor was really unique and inspiring in some way. And of course, I got the chance to meet her when I went to London, and it was great because it brought sort of an additional like third dimension to her. And then I think the last one, Steve Goodman, where he talked going from 2x4 or 4x2 to 4x4. And one of the things that he really lives a life as a coach, and talked about how his coaching had affected his marriage. And that to me was like, that is someone that had taken the practice of coaching, truly being self-reflective, who he, and always trying to kind of like go, hey, look, I'm asking these leaders all the time to refine and grow. Am I doing it myself, or am I just, I've got the practice underway, I'm skilled, I'll just keep, I'm not going to, continue to pursue excellence. But there he is. He is my age, and he is continuing to like refine and hone his own skills, and then asking his wife, how am I doing? That is a level of boldness and courageousness that I'm like, wow, that was really unique. I think those are the ones that kind of come to mind.
I guess what we know what we're doing this Friday night.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's
Dave.
Well,
I man, I have to change my plans now. I like one. I love hearing your reflection, and it kind of, and again, it always changes my answer a little bit. Like, I think that the season for me has been like coaches doing the work to move from transactional to transformational coaching. And it's like so many of the conversations we've had, not just this season, but you start out very transactional, and then the work of leaders trying to move to a different place based on your own baggage, right? People that were former leaders, Don and Nick, right? And Mark with a healthcare background. Everybody's has almost a little bit of a makeover they need to do to move from a transactional to a transformational coach. And I think a lot of that does have to do with like the some of the stuff we've talked about is moving from, doing to being the coach. And it's your ability to, get coaching yourself, go deeper. You got to do the work. You got to be self-aware. And I think that is part of the secret sauce to getting from transactional to transformational coaching.
Guys, I can't thank you enough for being so in tune with the season. This made it a super pleasure to interview you guys, talk to you, facilitate this discussion. And I know on behalf of all the listeners that they love coming on the podcast, this show. And I know each of them has a great time from what you've told me. And I think that makes your podcast extra special for the listeners, that you guys make it a fun and fruitful discussion. And so again, congratulations on season 3. And I know you're already on to recording episodes for season 4. So blessings and prosperity to you both. And I'm glad I get this up close view into both of your lives. And here's to a fun Friday night, everybody.
Thanks.
Shout out to our sponsor. Are you feeling stuck or overwhelmed? Character Matters Coaching and Consulting provides leadership coaching and consulting to empower you to overcome obstacles and reach your full potential. Visit charactermatterscoaching.com to learn more about their transformative coaching and how to get connected to Matt for your organization. Allie, it has been such a pleasure being interviewed by you. I think we need to increase this to twice a year. So maybe an end of year reflection and then a midpoint check-in. Something. I'm just proposing.
We could do it at the end of next season, the season 4. Yeah. All right. Until next time. Thanks again, Allie. Dave. Thanks for listening. If you love this podcast, please share it with another coach or leader. Make sure you go to the show notes to get all the resources from today's episode.